My name is Roy Andersen. I'm going to begin a blog about why we need a new type of school experience. Straightforward, doesn't it? A man and a woman fall in love, and in their love they create a child. What seems less straightforward is what causes their child to develop. After all, it may be said that all parents feed their child. They love it, they look after it, they protect it as it grows, and in their own ways they prepare it for the school experience. What is less understood is how different parents, according to the knowledge and inclination they have in this, will develop their child very differently from the ways other parents will raise their child. Recently I was on a flight and I saw an 18-month-old baby grab the jack of his father's headphones. The father, who was watching another monitor, attempted to teach his son what to do with the jack by making a simple gesture with his finger towards the hole on the monitor board where the jack was to go into. The baby gained no understanding from this whatsoever. The mistake of the father was that he did not think how his son had no experience to realize the connection. Had the father helped his son fit the jack into the hole and played a game in doing this, there would have been a learning development for the child. As it was, there was none. So we find that by the language skills they are raised with, the child of one parent may know some 30 million words more than the child of other parents when they begin day one of their school experience. This huge number does not just mean a number of words, it gives an indication of the very different ways the child is able to interrogate, relate to, and so explain better their feelings and understandings to the long line of teachers who will be there to assess their capability. This, after all, is what school is all about. It is far, far more a system designed to assess ability than it is to develop it. There is then, dear mother, dear father, dear guardian, dear teacher, dear educationist, even dear psychologist, and more even so, dear politician, if you are a sincere one, a need to understand that the school experience has only one purpose. It does not exist to give all children the best opportunity they may have in life. It is, as it was designed over 100 years ago, to be a processing system that decides which child will be promoted to leadership roles and work in society, and which will be directed towards support and worker roles once they leave school. All this understanding was very clear, but it became confused and much forgotten as society and school appeared to change the ways they operate as civilization became more technological after the 1970s. The thing we need to grasp here is that the school experience appears to be very different in different countries, because each is designed to produce a citizen according to the social and political design of that country. This, however, is only a surface design. The actual way all schools around the world operate is exactly the same, in that they rely upon the parents to prepare and support their child as the child develops through the school experience. This means that the child raised by the better caring parents and more knowledgeable parents will generally do far better in school and so obtain greater work and social opportunity after school than a child raised by parents less aware of how the whole system works. What this really means is that school produces two levels of future-thinking citizen. Those students who manage to obtain a high enough performance while in school and can afford the finances of a university education are taught to think in what we freely and incorrectly term critical thinking, because undergraduates are taught how to think and reason in ways far above those who do not, for whatever reason, acquire this level of education. Those who simply move through the school experience and then turn to a college or work apprenticeship are deprived of the education of this level of reasoning and simply taught to think in terms of yes and no. We call this dualistic thinking, and it is how most of the people on this planet today do think and do reason about the events in their life. In other words, they tend to accept information as it is presented to them through politicians, media, and internet sources. So while many may say that they live in a democratic society, the reality is that they tend to accept the way information is fed to them, so that its presentation influences the ways they think, and so how they vote on the factors governing their life. We may say then that democracy is an illusion, which to a certain extent it actually is. In the long history of civilizations, individuals have sought to control one another for their security and for the safety and protection of their families. But our civilization is rapidly moving towards a totally new kind of world that our ancestors, and indeed even ourselves, will have difficulty to recognize. Up until very recently, our whole history was decided and settled by conflicts between human beings, or what we might like to say decided by human intelligence. Now, however, our history may be decided between the conflict between artificial intelligence and that of human intelligence. This must be so because the world of our children will be heavily dominated by artificial intelligence in how they work, and so how they are governed and must lead their lives. Equally, so must we understand that as the flooding effects of global warming will create mass movements of people in the future, so will there be a high tension between peoples and great social instability. The meaning here is, as we have seen how terrorism has increased the level of security we must all live under, and so realize how this daily reduces the freedom of movement we have, that we must realize the need for far greater surveillance and security to stabilize such social instability brought about by climatic disasters. We are to realize from this that the citizen of our societies is one that was cultivated in the ways they think, and so how they should interact on a behavioral level through their school experience. In short, this is to say that school today produces a level of citizen that was designed more to follow than determine the events of their life, as is fitted the need of the processing society that gave birth to the processing school model we still use today. Yet this model is falling apart as teachers leave at a frightening rate, unable to suffer bad management, conflicting policies that drain their energies, and faced by students who are increasingly disrespectful and aggressive, if not violent, towards them. Our mistake in all this is to assume the child of today is a child we sat next to when we were in school. They are not. The child of today learns to adapt their thinking and their behaviour to a toxic world that we really do not understand. It is a world where boys of 8 years old identify with girls in the class through online pornography, instead of an identity based on respect. This distorts their behaviour towards girls, and so how girls learn to respond in turn. Equally, we may have played games when we were children, but we do not understand how computer and video gaming takes over the mind and desires of our children today. Game playing can too easily become addictive, as it is designed to be, and causes our children to isolate themselves and so reject social activity, as their brain chemistry causes them to be far more aggressive in nature and less interested in the process of learning and the opportunities that await them after school. In short, the student of today often has little desire to want to learn, to want to do their schoolwork, and is all too apathetic about their future. At the same time, this toxic world produces increases in bullying, which, with smartphones, now invades the mind of the victim 24 hours a day, causing too many to take their own life. Yet our model of teaching remains much the same as it always has. One teacher provides information to 30 or more students, marks the effort that is returned, and evaluates the worth of each of these students without any consideration to the effort they gave in how they taught them. Such is the processing system of school, where one school competes against another for public recognition by the high grades their students earn in examinations. Such recognition is gained by students being drilled in exam techniques, learning to memorize information and practicing old exam questions, which do come up again and again in future examinations, so that the student who follows these methods will earn a high grade without any development of their reasoning skills or any true knowledge of the subject they are said to have been educated in. This is the reality of school today, as it teaches children to accept the information they are fed, and so trust its source for the citizen they are prepared to be. For nearly 30 years, I researched into what school is and how it works, as I taught at all levels of education, from kindergarten to university, in countries of the world. I have written 7 books on my work, and these are said to be among the best books ever written about school, learning and society. You can see testimonials to this on my website. These books explain why school works the way it does, and why and how we can change this design to enable children to have a higher and more adaptable level of intelligence for the shifting work demands they will face, and a greater sense of personal and social responsibility for the highly disruptive social worlds that awaits them. It is vital that our children can demonstrate such collective quality of higher social harmony to their governing authority if they are to live under less direct surveillance and obtain a greater sense of freedom in their lives. In short, we need to create a new type of global citizen, and to my understanding, there are too few schools in the world that are currently aware of this, and even less who know how to achieve it. What is desperately needed is a totally new school experience. I would like to invite you to join my blog to discover how parents can improve in their skill of parenting, and how poor performing students can learn better as they come to discuss our greater ignorance in what intelligence is, and our misunderstanding of the causes and means to correct ADHD and dyslexia. This blog will bring new meaning to many parents and so to many teachers as they discover new ways to reach the mind of their students and can develop to work in a more constructive and positive school atmosphere as they guide their students towards the new world that awaits them. My name is Roy Andersen. Thank you.